Hello! This is a tutorial for making a PNGtuber work in After Effects. Now this is a pretty specific thing that I'm trying to get it to do, so I spent a lot of time looking for resources for how to do this. I don't think they exist on the internet. I don't think a lot of other people even need this kind of thing, because it's very specific. What I am specifically trying to set up here is to make a mouth flap with this guy. You know, he's got his mouth open, his mouth closed, to sync up with audio. It's very annoying to do if you're not doing it live like I am. I always record my audio in advance. It's this file down here, just because then I can go and clean it up later, and then I have to sync the VTuber up with it later. This is kind of tricky to do. Here's how to do it. First step, get into your After Effects. You're going to want to hit this button down here. This is your toggle transparency grid button. Make sure that's on so that it's transparent. Bada bing, bada boom. Step number 2. On your narration, this file right here, this is just the audio.
For this to actually happen,
That's just from a video that I'm working on right now. What you're going to want to do with this is to right click on it and go over to Keyframe Assistant and convert the audio to keyframes. So what this is going to do, you're going to get this new thing that shows up. You can hit the little drop down menu on that, drop down into effects. Left and right channels, don't need those, delete them. You can keep them if you want. I don't want them. After that, drop down on the both channels, you get into slider. Then you're going to want to hit this button right here, the graph editor, and you're going to get this crazy looking thing. That is all your keyframes. So these basically are synced up with audio. You can tell this is me talking at various volumes. This is just what sound looks like visually.
same. Someone wins and someone loses.
So down here it's quiet, up here I'm talking. Makes sense? Easy. It might look a little different depending on how you have your this setup. It might be like a +50 to -50. Mine looks like this. Don't worry about that. So now that we're here, you're going to want to Alt-click on this. Hold Alt-click on your little stopwatch. You get this thing now. You're going to want to get in here, delete this nonsense. Linear, comma, values, comma. Now you get to set your values here. This is going to change depending on what you need it to do. Basically, your first value is going to be the mouth open value, so the volume at which it will cause the mouth to open. I looked through here. I'm going to set mine at 8. You can change a different value if you'd like. Try playing around with this and just do what works for you. Your next value is the minimum threshold for the mouth closed. Now, we don't want any transition frames in the opacity. We just want it to have a nice, quick lip flap. We don't want there to be any frames where it's like halfway in between these. So I'm going to set mine very, very close to the other one, 7.99, so only 0.01 below that. After that, you get to set your min value. I'm just going to set mine to 0.1 because that's the thing that works for me. And then a max volume of 100. And that will work. So what happens now is you have this little thing. It's got this value that will go through. You're going to want to click on this. You're open. Press T on it to bring up opacity. Grab your little pick whip and drag it onto the slider. Now that's going to do some rendering stuff. And basically how that is going to work now is when it reaches a certain threshold, it will open the mouth. What you're going to want to do over here, now this is the clever bit, press T on this one, take your pick whip, attach it to this opacity of the open mouth, and you're going to want to invert this. So what's happening now is they will, like, when it's below the certain threshold, the opacity is 0. When it's above the threshold that we set, the opacity is 100.
Rule 104.3F says if a
So it kind of syncs up with that. But now it's flickering in and out. We need it to be inverted so that when the open isn't there, the closed is there, and vice versa. The way that we're going to do that, go to the beginning of this thing in here, on your close, now you're going to want to open a bracket, 100, close bracket, plus, open bracket, this whole thing, put all this into its own brackets so that it doesn't break free, multiply, open bracket, -1, close bracket. So now this basically is inverting it, so when it's at 100, it will be at 0, and when it's at 0, it will be at 100. And the end result is that you get this little mouth flap that goes with the sound.
104.3F says if a player would both win and lose the game simultaneously.
So, then we get to the last step. Might as well take you all the way since we're already here. Get to export, add to your render queue. Now this is important if you're doing this properly. Get over here, high quality with the alpha. Now alpha just means that this will export transparent so that when it actually goes in, you don't have to do any chroma keying or anything. The other way you can do this is get into high quality, and in here channels, if this is, I don't know why that's not an option, someone can tell me why, RGB and alpha. You can also just click on this little drop down arrow, high quality with alpha, and then hit render. There you go, how to solve a very specific problem that I've been having.